Another day, another defense of the beloved housing market. I'm doing this as often as it needs to be done. Today, I got an email from the John Burns Real Estate Consulting Organization, which I have a ton of respect for, and they're smart people and they put out great stuff. But I just wanted to point out how even they, who have been so right in so many cases, could go wrong on this one. So here's what the shrinking middle class means for housing. Great article. Okay, lots of great data in here. Problem is, the big story was embedded in the middle here and actually buried in parentheses. Here's the money line. Middle income households plunged from 57% of American households in 1970 to only 45% today, a decline of 12%. Don't you love plunged, right? 12% plunged over 30 years. That's a plunge. Parentheses. Though today's 45% is up from an average of 43% over the previous 7 years, right? So the middle class is plunging even though it's not plunging. The middle class is plunging even though it's come up after sitting on the bottom for 7 years. So the conclusions that came later have to do with all kinds of intelligent stuff, but this is the story. So I was really curious. I want to find the data. These people have access to a lot of data. So do I. It's 2018 and I have Google. So I went over to Google and I searched and I searched and I searched and I lost patience after 20 minutes and lost attention span because that's what happens in 20 minutes. Size of the middle class in the USA was the last search that I did, and you see the demise of the American middle class. No longer dominates, losing grounds. 70% of Americans think they're middle class, but only 50% are. Tipping point, most Americans are no longer middle class. Blah, 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 page after page after page. And yet, John Burns found the data that said that it's not plunging. It's coming back. Okay, so what could the reason be? All right, here's the point. There is, for whatever reason, a motivation among so many people, even in the industry, to be pragmatic by being negative. Let's look at the stats and see if we can't find a way to spin them negative. Now, one possible motivation is that you're not going to get picked up on Google. So if the only way to get your media picked up is to crap all over the housing market, people are going to do it, all right? And yet the proof's in the pudding, right? Middle class is growing, housing market is cranking, all right? And people still want to say that there's a correction happening. Look, I'll make the point again. There's been one correction in your lifetime, 2006. If you bought in 2006 and you held your property, you didn't lose money. What are we talking about? Where's all this? Well, of course, Greg, there's going to be a correction. What do you mean, of course? Show me the second one. I'll show you the one, and you show me the second one. The circumstances today don't match up with what happened in the run-up to 2006. People look at a guy like me and say, hey, well, if he makes money when people buy real estate, he's just a shill. He wants people to buy, so he's going to say it's going to be, no, I'm sorry. The National Association of Realtors were famous for that back in the day, right? A meteor could be careening towards Earth, and they'd say it's a great time to buy. But what are they saying now? Investors are bad for the housing market, right? Negative, negative, negative. Why? Answer that question yourself, okay? But you're not going to get picked up in the media if you start talking about how the housing market's doing great, how the reasons why it's doing great are solid, genuine, and sustainable. Is Phoenix going to correct a little bit? Sure, why not? Is Dallas a little bit overheated right now? I'm not so sure. I'm pretty sure if I can go in my time machine and go 10 years from now and show you a chart of Dallas, looking back 10 years, you'd say, that's a hell of a good time to buy in Dallas, even though the prices are up right now. Why? Because population is growing. No end in sight. I mean, for crying out loud, the political parties are warring over how to keep people out or how to let them in. The people are trying to get in. People who are here are staying. People who are born elsewhere are coming. It's all housing demand. That's all housing demand. All right, so can we make it popular to be accurate about the housing market and not just knee-jerk spin negative? That would be great. Until that time comes, I'll be here probably 4 times a day defending my beloved housing market. Thanks for watching, and thanks for John Burns for finding that stat, because that was a pretty incredible feat. Thanks.